Congresswoman Ashley Hinson from Iowa. She's a member of the House Budget Committee. Congresswoman, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jerry.
So what are you hearing? Nancy Pelosi said there is going to be a vote on this bipartisan infrastructure bill today. Are you hearing that's going to happen tonight?
Well, it's been interesting all week. We, normally get guidance on what we're voting on in the mornings of the bills that are going to be coming to the floor. And all week, all we've gotten are question mark, question mark, question mark about what's coming to the floor. I know we've seen that chaos and dysfunction under Speaker Pelosi's supposed leadership on display this week. And it's unfortunate that they have just these total blinders on to the priorities of the American people. And instead, they have been so laser focused on this reconciliation bill, this huge social spending bill. They've been so focused on that, tied to that infrastructure package, that they punted until the very last minute to keep our government open and operating. So that's what's been on display this week. So I hate to say it, but who knows what we'll be voting on tonight, if at all. And I think that dysfunction is exactly what we're seeing here in Washington, D.C. right now.
I don't want to sound cynical, Congresswoman, but it must be a bit of a temptation for Republicans to kind of sit back and enjoy the show, really, and get the popcorn out and look at the Democrats going after each other.
Well, it's a real shame, to be honest, because ultimately I've been out in the district hearing from Iowans, and Iowans want our government to be responsible. Iowans want they need the services, the VA checks, the IRS to do its job. We need to fund those essential government services, but what we've seen is a complete overstep, a complete shift in priorities. That spending spigot's been turned on for months, and we've been sounding the alarm on it. Americans are paying more for just about everything. That's what Americans care about. So in my mind, it's an absolute shame that this is the way Democrats have chosen to govern, as they have control over all three levers right now, with the Senate, the House, and of course the White House.
We heard from Chad Pergam earlier that there has been progress, at least on funding the government. That there's a deal on that. What about the debt ceiling, though? That's obviously the next big issue, and I know Republicans are obviously opposed to raising the debt ceiling, particularly to allow such massive increase in spending. What are you expecting to happen on that?
Yeah, well, obviously we have to do something because we should not be defaulting on our debt. But I think the real concern here from Republicans, and it's a concern of mine as well, is the Democrats want a blank check until December of next year. They don't have any dollar amount associated with raising that debt ceiling. That's just reckless and irresponsible, especially when they continue to push forward with, again, a $4.3 trillion spending package, plus that over $1 trillion infrastructure package. So they want to spend $5 trillion more, but they don't want to care about the credit card bill that's going to come due. That bill is already due. Our credit card's maxed out, and they're already looking for every single cent we have in the couch cushions to spend it all. So it's a real shame that, again, they have this tunnel vision for spending instead of focusing on the real priorities, which should be securing our border, making sure our government is up and running in a responsible way, and focusing on the priorities that Americans are talking about at their kitchen tables every night.
That's what I want to ask you about. What are you hearing from your constituents, from the people in your congressional district? I mean, President Biden keeps saying this 3.5, as you say, 4.3, some people say $5.5 trillion plan is extremely popular, and it contains all these provisions, all these sort of giveaways. What do your constituents tell you?
Yeah. Well, you said the word giveaway, and I think that's what Iowans are on to. I did 8 town halls in my district this year so far in person. I don't screen questions. I just talk with Iowans, and I can tell you that Iowans don't want to see their taxes go up. They want to see rural America respected, and first and foremost, they don't want to see wasteful spending. So the biggest feedback I've gotten is, let's talk about infrastructure. Iowans want targeted investments in infrastructure. So your roads and bridges, locks and dams, and broadband. That would mean a scaled down package. And I think you would see a great deal of bipartisan support for something like that. But again, they have chosen to throw in all of these Green New Deal priorities and extra, as I call it, fluff and free stuff into both of these packages. That's not what Iowans want, and I don't think that's what Americans want.
Congresswoman Ashley Hinson of Iowa. It sounds like you're going to have a late night, but thank you very much indeed for joining us.